Hi everybody, welcome to day 2 of solving equations using addition and subtraction. So your learning target for today is I can solve equations using addition and subtraction. Remember yesterday we talked about equations are simply reminding us that we need to be able to see that equals symbol in order for it to be an equation. Okay, so there's a lot going on this page, so I want you to just stop and pause and read it before you listen to me say everything, because otherwise I think some of you are going to get really overwhelmed. So I'm going to take it slow, but I want you to know that this stays here, so if pausing it or screenshotting it on your device to have would be helpful, go ahead and do that. But what we're going to talk about today is solving equations using only addition and subtraction to solve. So when we are solving an equation, you must first isolate a variable. And that word isolate simply means, if you look at the next sentence, to get the variable to one side of the equation by itself. So what they mean, and let's say we had y plus 3 equals 5. What they're saying is that we want to isolate, meaning get y to be all by itself. And in order to do that, we need to get rid of this plus 3. Okay, so to isolate the variable, looking at number 3, it says move numbers to the other side of the equation using inverse operation. We know what inverse means by looking at number 4. Inverse just means the opposite. Okay, so the inverse operation of addition is subtraction, and the inverse operation of subtraction is addition. So with the example that I gave you guys up at the top of the screen, y plus 3 equals 5, we want to get y by itself. So in order to do that, the opposite of that addition symbol is subtraction. So that means that I'm just going to subtract 3 from the left side, and I'm going to subtract 3 from the right side. When I do that, I'm left with y. This cancels out, right? If I have 3 and I spend 3, I'm left with nothing. Equals 5 minus 3 gives me 2. So what that tells me is that y equals 2, and I can solve from there. So at the bottom here it says, when solving for a variable, it is important to show all your steps. Notice that I wrote down both sides that I was subtracting 3. Notice that I crossed out showing that they canceled each other out. I showed all my work. And what's going to be hard about distance learning is that I can't see you solving everything. So once we kind of get the swing of it, I might have you guys take some pictures of your work and send those in to me. But I want us to get the hang of this distance learning thing before I have you doing all of that. So just know on your paper or your whiteboard or wherever you're solving these to make sure that you're showing all your steps, to really make sure that you're understanding all of the steps that come along with this. This is not difficult, but it can be tricky if you skip any steps while we're going through all of this. So when we look at our practice page for today, so our very first one, I'm going to write it a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. This would be a great spot to watch me do a couple of these and then press pause and do the rest on your own and check back in to see if you did okay. So the first one says n minus 4 equals 2. Okay, so I know that my job is to get that n all by itself. So then I think, okay, what is the opposite of subtraction? It's addition. So I'm going to add 4 to this side. And on the opposite side, imagine there's a wall right here. So I have to add 4 on the left side of the wall, and I have to add 4 on the right side of the wall. When I do that, what I notice is that minus 4 and plus 4 cancel each other out. So I'm left with n equals, and then on the right side of the wall, I have 2 plus 4, which gives me 6. So my answer for this first one would be n equals 6. Okay, the next one says n minus 6 equals 6. So to solve this one, I'm going to draw that wall so I remind myself to do things on both sides. The opposite of subtraction is addition, so I would add 6 on this side, cross it out, add 6, so I'm left with n equals 12. N equals 12. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking. I want you to pause, and I want you to do 3 more on this page. I'm going to quickly go through them, so when you unpause, you guys can see how you did. So on the next one, I'm going to add 3 to both sides, and I would be left with n equals 5. I'm going to add 9 to both sides, and I'm going to be left with n equals 26. Add 14 to both sides, and I'm left with n equals 27. Add 12 to both sides. I'm left with n equals 31. add 11 to both sides, b equals 33, add 20 to both sides, a equals 60, add 100 to both sides. And notice these are all subtraction, and this is to make sure that you guys are understanding the skill. Add 15 to both sides, x equals, equals 34. And then add 3 to both sides, n equals 11. So if you did pause, I went through and I did all the answers. If you didn't pause, you watched me go through that really fast. So I'd advise you to rewind, solve some of these on your own, and then check your work, okay? So now on the side, we're going to practice doing the opposite. So now all of these have addition. So n plus 7 equals 13. So remember, I'm going to draw that wall, so remember to do things to both sides. The opposite operation of addition is subtraction, so I'm going to subtract 7, and n would be equal to 6. So the first one, n equals 6. Okay, next one is n plus 7 equals 8. Opposite, I'm going to draw my wall. Opposite would be subtract, so n equals 1. So again, I want you to pause. I want you to choose a few of these to do on your own, and then unpause and check your answers with what I get here. So I'm going to subtract 5, n equals 13, subtract 2, n equals 26, subtract 17. Sorry guys, 1 second here. Subtract 17. Sorry guys, a equals 18, subtract 4, b equals 52, subtract 32, x equals 55, subtract 25, n equals 3, subtract 15, x equals 110, subtract 28, you're going to get x equals 68, and then subtract 12, a equals 0. So if you did pause, check your work. If you did not pause, again, I went through that super quick, but I want to make sure that you guys are understanding that if you see addition, you're going to subtract. If you see subtraction, you're going to do addition. So click the link in the comments to complete the homework for today. There are 5 questions practicing both addition and subtraction of this. If you get it wrong, it's going to tell you to try again. And if you're stuck, I want you to send me a message or an email letting me know that, and that will give me a cue that I need to do a little bit of a review of this before we move on to Wednesday's lesson. So the more information you guys can give back to me, the better, and what I can do to make sure that you're understanding this. Okay? Have a great night, guys. We'll talk to you soon.